Welcome back to Lessons for Life. It's Wednesday night. Going live and introducing in the red corner, representing Iran, we've got Mac. And from one Mac to another, right down the middle, we've got Andre McIntyre, former world Muay Thai champion and many other things as well, who joins us somewhere, although he's disappeared. This is part 2 tonight of our book review. Welcome to Book Club. Here's the scary front cover.
By the way,
we're looking at magic and the supernatural.
We might as well do the signs, all the symbols. And
all the signs, all the symbology. This is the history of the deeper meaning and the esoteric meaning of things such as, well, we looked at, what did we get through last time, Mac?
Egypt,
alchemy, ancient Egypt, Babylon, yoga, fakirs, the Sumerians, cosmic dragons.
Enki, and then Enki, the death, quite a few lot of stuff.
And we've got as far as the satanic
197
sciences. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
Well, welcome in, Andre. You've caught up with us. I think you saw most of the show. People get very sort of reactionary when they hear people talking about this, and they say, "Oh, don't dabble in that sort of thing. It's the unknown or it's the unseen, and we're not meant to look into it." But there's no harm in having knowledge, is there? Is there anything? Am I at risk if I start researching the meaning of all these swords and that Hebrew words? And look at that.
That's Kabbalic.
Ezekiel. Yeah. This is the hexagram placed over the so-called Ezekiel and Pythagoras pentacles constitutes Solomon's seal. So we said before that people that look into this seem to be fascinated with ancient Egypt, fascinated with Solomon and the magic that Solomon had. He could talk to the animals, rather like Dr. Doolittle.
Well, apparently he could control the jinns as well. He had the ability. This is what I'm saying. That the temple was made with amazing, like they said, they would go, because the jinns were able to go into the sea, get the best pearls, and they could get the best stones from underground, basically. And they would come. Right. So to build the Solomon temple, he had them on basically control of them, and he was able to. And it was the ring. So when he died, even they were scared to approach him. Like apparently it says in the Quran, when Solomon died, he was sitting in his chair. And if it wasn't for, because he was leaning on his staff, you know, they usually have a staff, and the staff broke, and then he fell over, and all the jinns or the entities realized, and that's when they were able. But yeah, so he had them on control, and he had them locked up. So that's why underneath where he had all the rituals from worshipping, from all the satanic, everything from Babylon, he had obviously ordered to put underground in the safe, which the Knights Templar had reached and found.
Wow. Andre, you with us?
You know, it's amazing, Matt, to hear you talk, because I have a major problem with a lot of people in religion.
Okay.
And I'll say it blatantly online. I don't consider myself a member of any religion anymore. However, I follow the teachings more of Islam than any other religion, but I still consider myself to be a religious detective. And that is very, very important in my life at the moment, because when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes for you on the day of judgment,
you
have to be able to explain
who your prophet is, who your God is, who your God is. Yeah.
And there is a lot of people out there.
But don't you believe in purgatory? Don't you believe in purgatory?
Let me get my point.
Go on, let him through, Max.
Sorry.
Yeah, go on, Andre.
What is all the boxing and all that? The thought process will go in my head, and then I'll lose it.
Sorry, my apologies. I won't do that again.
But basically, what it is on the day of judgment, it says in the Quran and it says in the Bible, right? Yeah, but you will be asked why you are not a believer, right? Whether that be Christendom, Christianity, or whatever denomination, you have to be able to answer. I can't turn around and say it was Julian's fault. I can't turn around and say it was my mum's fault, right? You have to answer for that yourself. And a lot of people, I'm sorry to say it, but I would go as far as to say that 90% of Muslims are sheep.
Probably, yes, you're right.
I
agree with you.
They eat with this hand, and
right
they wash
hand.
with that hand.
Wash with that,
and
left hand.
La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. They recite that perfect. They can read the Quran perfect, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, they don't really know their religion. And
sure.
let me tell you where I have found recently where that is detrimental to the growth of Islam. Not that I'm saying to you in this conversation, but I'm a promoter of Islam. I'm just saying to prove some catastrophic points that I'm seeing, right?
Sure,
and
sure.
It's affecting us. It's affecting us with regards to the West's opinion of Islam, because we can't correct certain viewpoints because you don't know your religion. Do you understand, right? And one of these points is anybody can tell you anything, you'll just follow it. And this is why I'm very surprised at you, right? Because your mindset, I take it your mom and dad are Muslim. My mom and dad aren't Muslim. My mom and dad were Christian, right? But I take it you were born into this religion, and your mindset appears to be very open. I watched the video previously as well, half of it, and you was on there and you was coming out with some strong points, and I thought, wow, you're actually open to investigation of a lot of stuff. And for
Can I explain to you?
I take my hat off to you for that, because it's so important.
All right, now the first basis of my religion would be not only get to know your own religion, but it is a duty for you to know other religions and come to your own basically conclusion. And based on what
I'm going to say this, right? Did you know, I've been to Morocco. I was living in Morocco. Now, these people were born Muslim, yeah? Right. These people talk Arabic as their first language, right?
Or French.
No, but they speak Arabic. They understand Arabic. Yeah, right. And these people do not seem to understand that the Quran is a trilogy book. It's a follow-on from the Torah and from the Injil.
Yeah, of course.
How disgusting is it for me, somebody who hasn't even finished the Quran and they've read it 3-4 times in their lifespan, for me to be explaining these? Do you know, brother? They're turning around to me and they're saying to me, "Oh wow, where did you get this knowledge from?" Because they've got this ancestral viewpoint that if you speak Arabic, you understand the religion more than anyone else. It's not true, bro.
No, it's not.
People Shahada seem to be stronger in the faith than people born in it.
Yep, correct.
By the way,
can I say shalom, Shabbat to Brian? Is it Cannot Tell?
Yeah, Brian Cannot Tell is a very spiritual gentleman joining us in the chat, and he always gives us shalom. He dabbles with a bit of Hebrew language. Piety, Momentum, I happen to know, is another good friend.
By the way, Naim Miod.
100% correct. We get in agreement. And Piety Movement, Momentum, saying Quran is the 3rd chapter, basically. There you go. It all comes together, and we do need some unity at the end of the day. But
so if you notice, Julian's even seen. I was sending him Matthew. Was it Matthew 5:4, and I was explaining how, you know what, like Hartoon, what she's doing is not a reflection of her religion, because as I was saying in Matthew 5:4, it says, "Love your enemies," yeah, and as well as. Exactly. Now, as well as that, and also pray for your prosecutors. So love your enemy and pray for your prosecutors or executors, or whatever you want to say. So this is so going in with a picture of the prophet like that. This is not a reflection. Do you see what I'm saying? So even people, every people, I was telling this is what I was telling Julian. In my opinion, I don't think anyone, and I'm probably going to get ridiculed for this, but people that go, that the true people that go to Speaker's Corner that are true to themselves are the atheists.
Or the people looking, the detectives, as Andre says.
Give me a touch.
Yeah. Oh, hands in.
No, I said that to Julian the other day. Did I not, or Julian?
You did.
That's my opinion.
Because I know it sounds weird to say this, and let's get something straight. Some of them are not open-minded. Let's get that straight. Some of them are not open-minded. Yeah. But I found a lot of them will sit down and read.
Sorry.
Is that your music?
Yeah, that's my music. Sorry.
Is that your ringtone?
Yeah,
we really are a multi-denominational show. Piety Momentum is saying, at the end of the day, the globalists want to replace imams, priests, and rabbis with scientists. That's interesting, yeah. And there is a dogmatic approach to scientism where people teach science as some kind of religion. I think we need to square the circle and accept scientific evidence and have our spirituality, and don't let scientific facts make you bury your head in the sand and say, no, I don't want to believe in X, Y, Z. My book says God created the earth in 7 days. The Bible and Quran are much truer than literally true. Brian Cannot Tell is saying all scripture is written for inspiration. Just because man decided up the books and reinterpreted to a cult of Christ instead of worship of Creator, to capture and separate, not unite. Well, there's a lot of division.
What Brian has just said there touches on a video me and you done before where we was talking about 666, and I said to you that I believe all books are 80% true and 20% misguided or lies. So and in every truth there is 20% lie.
Sorry, I'm gonna mute my phone. Sorry, I'm really sorry.
Are you playing Happy Birthday there, Matt? If you want a birthday shout out, Matt can play it for you.
Yeah, they're saying, they even telling me to turn off my mobile.
Or whatever. It's all good.
People are watching and saying, turn off your mobile.
Max Fan Club are in the chat.
A few of them.
If we can go back to esoteric symbolism and Satan that we mentioned, and Andre, you were saying that we should almost have sympathy for the devil. I mean, if you don't mind me bringing that up, you said as a black man, I have to.
No, that's not what I said.
What did you say? You said I can see. What was it you said to me? Remind me.
Are you talking about in our last video that we done about this?
When we spoke about the devil, yeah.
No, I'm not saying to have sympathy. No, I'm not saying to have sympathy in him. I'm saying, how dare you say you're 100% Muslim, Christian, Jew,
not knowing your religion,
right? How can you say you 100% believe in your religion, right? Yeah, when you haven't studied Luciferianism or you haven't looked into any other book like that, you're a liar.
Yeah.
You understand? Don't go calling him a liar. You're the liar because you don't even know nothing about him. And what I said to you in that previous video is, being a black man, I'm upset with my people because we should know better than to follow things blindly, because we're used to stepping into that lift and everyone holding their purse or their bag closer to them because, oh, it's a black man, he might steal my purse, or be careful, this guy's a mugger. We're used to perceptions and how wrong perceptions can be. So how dare you accuse Satan of something when you don't even know the man? You've never studied or looked into him. You're a hypocrite.
That's true.
Andre, what do you know about the curse of Ham? Sorry to spring it on you, but someone brought it up in a Facebook chat this evening. What are the passages of the Bible that can be interpreted as racist? Yes. The curse of Ham was used to
I thought he was going to answer me.
Label black. Yeah. What does it mean? What is the curse of Ham?
Isn't that one of the sons of Noah or something? And they were cursed.
Ham. Yeah. Go on, Andre.
The curse of Ham is his coloration, that all his offspring was black.
Now, is it his coloration, or is that just what people have interpreted it to mean?
That's what it goes back to Cain and Abel. I mean, in the as far from what I can recollect from my studies, was that one of the things they done to promote racial slavery was to say that it's the Europeans' right of slavery over the African, because they're the cursed race of Cain.
Well, Ham was the son of Noah, who is regarded as this ancestor of the black races. I can't work out why. There is some passage in the Bible that suggests, but because he looked at his father when he was drunk, Noah, he was then made, he was cursed, and some people interpreted that to mean black. When we talk about the languages of Africa, Hamitic languages are the languages that come from Africa, Semitic from the Middle East.
Isn't it Kemet? Kemet as well.
Kemet was ancient Egypt, but Hamitic means relating to Ham. When the Belgian Catholics were ruling over what became Rwanda, they taught this Hamitic theory, and the two tribes, the Hutus and the Tutsis, who didn't really have any awareness that they were any different from each other until the Catholic Church drummed into them that one of you lot is descended from Ham and one of you isn't, and therefore you got the inferiority complex and hatred between the two, that one of these ethnic groups is descended from Ham and the other isn't. So I don't think the Bible is explicitly racist, but there's passages that have been interpreted as such, and the curse of Ham is definitely one. Is there anything I've missed on that, Andre, that we should know about Ham and Noah?
What you're doing, you're badgering me into coming up with a topic which you know is very close to my heart at the moment.
No problem. No, you can, on this show we can always say no comment. We can always say no comment. Don't worry. Brian cannot tell. Go on.
It's a topic which obviously, you know, I've been doing a lot of research on, and I've shared certain parts with you as well, which I know you've touched on in different aspects. But
if you want to keep your powder dry, that's all right.
I'm trying to hold off talking about it for our new channel. But what I will say to you, what I will say to you is what I touched on earlier on when I started going off and talking about, look, the religion, a lot of people that follow blindly and sheep and they don't know their religion, is very, very important, because when I do talk about what we're talking about, which is the story of jinn,
yes,
right, yeah, on the new
as well,
right. But when I go into that story of jinn on that channel, what will happen is a lot of Muslims will turn and say, well, no, that's not true, blah 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 blah. But in actual fact, the Quran, the Injil, and the Torah, and the Book of Enoch, and other writings and teachings, all will stray to push to understand, right? Yeah, but all those books have been either infiltrated or talk about the fact that the world is being corrupted by jinn and their ancestors. That's their descendants. Do you understand? Right,
their ancestors.
Right, descendants, sorry. And what's happening and what's happening is for some reason there seems to be a pull and there seems to be a doctrine introduced into all these books for anti-black. I don't know why, but it seems to be there in some way, shape or form. They always have to draw reference to it. I don't know why there's a reference drawn to it. What I do know, and we'll go into that obviously on my channel, but I believe the fact that the Quran and all these books talk about man come from mud and clay, is very significant. I think it's very, very significant. I think it's more significant than we actually are paying attention to. I believe the imams, etc., are telling us they're basically subliminally leading us to an understanding of what the Quran says, which follows their understanding and teachings. It's not actually inclusive of what the Quran says. There are surahs and scriptures that are being overlooked, right? Whilst others are being promoted. Do you understand? To fit into whatever narrative they want us to fit into. But the narration is very narrow. That's the point. It's a very narrow narration. When you look into it on a larger scale and deep, it will blow your mind. And I actually think, you know, I mean, I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. I'm sorry I'm straying off from the main thing, but it's important.
Go anywhere you like. Go anywhere you like.
The Bible in Genesis talks about, you know, people will laugh. I mean, I say that certain races out there are the descendants of jinn, right? People will laugh at me. What you're talking about, but the fact
can I say something? There's one thing that I actually wanted to prove as well. That I know that if people look at the first time that Jesus did what was it, exorcism, and then he came out, basically. So even at Jesus' time, there was not just jinns, but the thing is, jinns have the ability to possess you. Now, the way that you can, I mean, even in because this country has a history of wizardry and witchcraft, and now drinking alcohol, apparently, the word spirit, this is why it's called spirit. The spirit has two meanings: the spirit world, but for you to channel your body and allow these entities to go into you, you drink alcohol. So this is the first ritual of to perform magic, because then these entities are able to go into you, and then you become the jinn. But that really and truly, that's the concept of Islam that they have. That they say that when you drink, you're putting yourself in a state where they have, or you can channel it. Even when you do fortune telling, so it's the same thing. You're actually asking these entities to come into your life, whether it be if it's card or a palm reading or whatever. You're getting them to interfere. You're channeling yourself to these entities. Now, I was going to just say one more thing. Jesus, when he did his first exorcism, the first thing he said, "I am the Solomon of this day and age." Now, why would he compare himself? If he's God, why would he compare himself to someone like Solomon?
Who said that?
When Jesus performed his first exorcism, after he did, he came out and he can't. I'm paraphrasing, but something along the lines. I am the.
But Mac, you can't be paraphrasing like that, because that's a strong word you just said there.
Basically,
so
he did say, I am the Solomon of this era, kind of thing. Yeah, I'm quite. I could research it for you and then find out now. But I'm sure that's what he said when he performed. Yeah, of course. I should get that correct. You're right.
Yeah, because that's very serious. That's a very serious statement.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, of course.
And who was it?
Give me 1
denied
second. But
he was Elijah.
Continue.
Was it John the Baptist denied that he was Elijah, and then another time said he was Elijah? So the Bible, seemingly contradicting itself, is perhaps speaking at one point literally and other points metaphorically. That's something to remember.
Is very important, because if
it's a strong accusation. Okay, we need to go to the scripture.
Wait. Before is first. Wait.
Max just looking up the Bible. If you just joined us, it's Lessons for Life. We're talking about the history of esoteric symbolism, and obviously we're delving into the Bible. And Hedgewick Wendell Crum is saying, I wish I could see a ghost or an alien at least once before I die. Interesting that you mentioned aliens and ghosts at the same time. Are they the same thing? 33X is saying, if ghosts are real, then God is real. Possibly, if I see a ghost, I will start to take religion seriously. And Hedgewick Wendell is saying, ghosts are nothing to do with God. Well, surely if God created everything, then ghosts or jinn, if we're using the term interchangeably, would be the same thing and would be created by God. He's the creator. And in terms of aliens, are jinn aliens? If God is Lord of all the worlds, presumably there are other worlds, other planets. Are there beings out there. We can't be alone, can we?
Okay.
Mac, have you got the chapter and verse?
Yeah, I think it's Matthew 12:42, and I think it says, wait, something like Jesus said, "I am greater than."
We can't have something like. We can't have something like on this show.
Okay,
Andre won't like it.
Yeah,
he won't like it when he's angry.
Hold on. Oh, I hate all these pop-ups. Sorry, my apologies. Sorry.
No problem.
It's good to get the red letter version of the Bible.
So basically,
Mac,
Matthew 12:42. Matthew 12:42. Yeah. He basically says, and behold, a greater than Solomon is here. Yeah. Parts of the earth hear the wisdom of Solomon, and behold, a great. So this is Matthew 12:42. So he's saying, to actually paraphrase him correctly, he says, "Behold, a greater than Solomon is here." After he performed his first exorcism.
Greater than Solomon. That doesn't mean he's in league with Luciferianism, or he's in league with
No. My point is, he's comparing himself to another human or prophet. He's not saying, "I am God." He's not directly saying, "I am God." He's performing something that's been performed by a previous prophet. So he's saying, the way
Elijah raised the dead as well.
Of course, yeah. There are certain prophets that, no doubt. I mean, like we say, Moses spoke to God directly. Saw apparently God brought down a single particle of himself on a mountain. This is what I'm saying. Moses wanted to be convinced a bit more. So again, there are other prophets that had to be convinced. Like, for example, Jonas, is it? That went into the stomach of a whale.
The belly of the whale, yes.
Yeah. So all these prophets were gone through testings. Even from Abraham, every prophet was tested, like in terms of to become a prophet, because they had to have that trust or faith in God. So God actually did a few times test certain prophets, but Abraham got tested the most. He got tested.
I understand, but the reason why I asked you about it is because if you was right with the wording that you said, I want to memorize what you said, because it's really important. I just told you.
Yeah, Matthew. Yeah? I just gave you Matthew.
But wording was different to what you're saying, because the original wording you said was putting him in league with Solomon, and as we all know, Solomon is credited, right?
Of course, as the best.
Rightfully or wrongfully, for the occult and for major works in black magic. So if he's now aligning himself to say, look, so, that was.
No, but he's only talking about this one action. He's talking about the exorcism. Yeah. But he's talking about the exorcism he just performed.
Andre, we're not accusing Solomon of dabbling in black magic or the dark arts.
No, but he has a point.
It's the power that Solomon had that he used for good that Luciferians and Satanists want to use for bad. I think that is the distinction here.
Solomon was given a kingdom that was never seen or will ever be seen, meaning he will have not only the animals on his side. For example, there was a bird missing, which he was going to kill, Hudhud, I think it was called. But the point being is, if you can control from the animal kingdom to the wind, to the water, to the seas, so that God had given him, no other prophet has had. So Jesus didn't have. I mean, I'm sure he did actually bring a bird from a picture to life or something. But I'm saying they if they wanted, but Solomon had a kingdom that will never be seen or has been seen. That's the point that I was trying to make. So
I've got so many points that I want to mention, and I just can't. My mouth stood because I can't come out with it.
Well, I'll make a point. I'll make a point that it is alleged that the Antichrist will attempt to make a kingdom akin to Solomon's, and he will want to sit on that throne, and he will want to imitate King Solomon, but he won't be real, obviously. Getting praise from Hedwig Wendell, who's saying, aliens are more plausible than gods and ghosts. Maybe aliens are just a modern explanation for the same phenomenon that sounds more appealing to your 2020 brain. And Edward's also saying, great show, by the way, mindset, exactly, 2020 vision and all that. Gosh, I remember at the beginning of the year, Andre and I sat down at our AGM, annual general meeting, and we had such high hopes for 2020, and I think we jinxed it, but we've nearly survived it. And 33X is saying anticlimax. I'm not sure what that refers to.
Wait a minute. I'm going to get to that point that you just said there, right?
Go on then.
Right, hold that point what you just said there. But other than me, right, as a race of people or as a religion, who talks about jinn in the entirety of the word jinn? Who talks about jinn?
It's an Arabic word mentioned in the Quran, and
Okay. So other than Muslims, who else talks about jinn?
There are some Hebrews that do.
I think the words in the Bible and the Torah and the Injil will be different language, but referring to the same people.
Yeah, but they don't say jinn.
No, they don't say jinn. I mean, jinn's an Arabic word.
Right.
So Arabic Christians in the West Bank or wherever will refer to jinn. I'm sure. Arabic speaking Christians.
They're all from Middle East, so they would. But the next point I want to say to you is Muslims condemn alcohol. Right. Now, I believe we're coming to a major juncture in mankind's growth. Something's going to happen. You know, some people will call it the coming of the Dajjal, whatever. Right? Yeah, but something's happening. Something's on the move. Some process is changing in our lives, right? And all of a sudden, public enemy number one is Islam. Something's going on, right? Something's going on, and the time has come where people are waking up. Certain terminologies and certain discussions have to be shut down because it's detrimental to the movement of the powers that be. Do you understand? Right? Yeah. Now, I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying, but it's like anybody who's trying to move in a positive way at the moment is getting shut down. I'm not David Icke getting shut down. Me and you made it quite public, but we're looking to move forward with certain things. 2020 comes and shuts us down, right? There you go. There is a spiritual movement. Right.
I've been shut. I had a YouTube channel, so I got shut down.
Right. There is a spiritual movement and a physical movement going on, right? And sometimes the line don't cross automatically, but something's not right. Something's making life hard for us right about now. And you have to pay attention to these things, because don't take that as a deterrent. You need to take that as a lesson to be able to concur and continue with your energy. Do you understand? Because truth will always surface in the end.
And the truth will set you free. Piety Momentum in the chat is saying alien equals not of this world. That could mean angels, ghosts, and gods. At this point, I've got to ask Mac the definition. What does angel mean, Mac?
Angel.
What is an angel?
Light.
It's a kind of a creation made that they can't do anything different to apart from what God has told them. So,
but you were telling me earlier on it's from the word angle.
No. That's the language of the angels. Like when they use angles, that's when you get into the 108, the circle and all of that. That's what the 360, the 180, all of these coming up to 9. That's when you can say all these angles are the language of the angels. But
you were saying it's no coincidence that angle and angel are similar, because the angels speak some kind of mathematical language.
Exactly.
We've got Triple T we'll bring in just a moment. Piety Momentum is saying kind of strange series called The Messiah that came out on Netflix.
I've seen that. That's amazing.
Who is portrayed as the Dajjal to Islam's narrative. Hedwig saying, when I say alien, I refer to beings from another planet. And
it's possible.
Prince said it best. There is a battlefield of minds at play, and the prize is the soul. On the Dajjal-related series on Netflix, it came around the time that they started moving the international embassies in Jerusalem. Interesting. Welcome, Triple T. How you been keeping up with the chat tonight?
Are we
out of our minds
for having me on your show? Yes, I'm enjoying it, and it's very heavy, and it's nice to hear such a heavy talk, which I don't think we can see on any other channel out there, and back and forth. I would just like to make a couple of points, if I may. That firstly, regarding alcohol, Islamically, we're not against alcohol. For example, you can keep it in your house, perhaps, you know, for whatever reason you need to. Perhaps you have guests or something.
They say
going on,
no. Apparently, they say if you have alcohol in the household, your prayers are not accepted.
What, you keep it for guests, Triple T? I don't drink myself, but you lot have this poison and have a bacon sandwich while you're at it.
This is what I'm
telling you. Are you serious?
I'm being serious. You can't have alcohol in the household and pray. Your prayers aren't accepted.
Well,
okay. Let's not delve into very minutia.
Sure. You can't consume alcohol. You can't consume alcohol.
For example, if you had 1 minute, gentlemen, 1 minute. If you had alcohol hand sanitizer and you're using it to keep your hands clean, that is not a problem. Is that the point you're making? No. But I understand there are different interpretations. And your tradition, Mac, in your tradition, it is very much says that it is unclean and it's an unclean substance.
Islam, whether you be Sunni or Shia, there is this belief about having, if you're really strict, that is.
But guys, we don't want to derail the show about alcohol. It's a minor point, and we shouldn't have been so pedantic to interrupt.
But he said, sorry, go on.
Triple T, you're back in. Triple T,
well, I have to. I'll just finish the point about alcohol. As you rightly said, use it in hand sanitizers. You can use it, I think, in medicine also. If that was the case, if it's not, if prayers are not accepted, then it would be wrong. How can they not be accepted when tiny? I think Night Nurse has alcohol and so many other medicine and so on. Mouthwash, another one has alcohol. And so I wouldn't. I think what Muslims are really against
balsamic vinegar
is the effects of alcohol. Look at we lose 500 or 600 people a year in this country because of drink drivers, and the domestic violence that takes place. They say that it just surges 50% higher than what is normally when the man comes home drunk and attacks his wife, and all this criminality and abuse of women in the nightclubs and so on and so on. It goes on like that. But I would like to say regarding what you gentlemen have been discussing, everything in the holy books, there are metaphors and there are statements. People say Jesus will return. Will Jesus really return, or will the time that he had, the good time of peace and tranquility, perhaps when he left the world, then is that time going to return? Or is Jesus as a man going to return? If I'm in charge of something and there's peace in the world and I disappear, and will people say, Triple T's time will, or when they say Triple T will return in 100 or 200 years, do they really mean Triple T's good time is going to return? So I think there's just so much that we need to really study if we really have an interest in that. But we have to keep an open mind that anything could mean anything when it comes down to research.
Andre McIntyre, Oxford University, you're in.
What I was going to say is I don't necessarily agree with what Triple T is saying about the alcohol thing. I think Islam was very strict on it, and the reason why Islam was strict on it, right? Is well, I think they were.
Can I tell you the history?
Let Andre finish.
The point I was going to say is shirk was massive when the Prophet was around, and what happened is because of that, certain rules had to be put to be implemented to stop them with their behavior. And one of those behaviors right? You could even have pictures and photos up because they used to worship the dead and all stuff like that. Shirk was serious within that region. So, and alcohol, as Mac rightfully said, is one of the ways of being able to nullify your common sense, your consciousness, right? In order to allow jinn into your system. Do you understand? In order to allow falseness into your system. So alcohol was I believe I wasn't there, but from what I understand, alcohol was oppressed. So I just wanted to make that point.
Can I give you the history of alcohol and why it was forbidden and when it was forbidden from?
Is that to me or to?
Well, in the chat we've got Salem saying.
Can I weigh in with that?
Mac deserves more airtime than Triple T. That must be Mac writing his own comments. But Edwin is saying we want to hear what Triple T has to say. So it's 50-50. Go on, Mac. You can serve, and Triple T will hit it back to you.
The history of alcohol goes back to Yusuf or Joseph. What had happened was when he went to the Pharaoh's castle and he started working for the Pharaoh's wife tried to molest him and he ran away. You know the story, right?
And his clothes were torn from the back.
Yeah. So now he was going to be prosecuted, and the only way he was able to explain why he would never do that is because what had happened to his sister. There was a time where they were invited to apparently once they went to I think it was the Canaanites. It was the Canaanites time, wherever the Canaanites were. But apparently their neighbors invited them and they gave them drink. And his sister was raped while she was drunk, and then because of that, he would never. This is the history. From then, it was forbidden because it puts your mind in a state where you're not in control. Hence, where she went to Yusuf's sister went to this party. She drank and she was taken advantage of. So this is where he would say, "Look, I would never ever because of my sister." So this is how he was able to get out of speeching, because at the end of the day, if the Pharaoh's wife is saying that you're going to be, you're trying to make a move on her, you're going to be prosecuted or you're going to be hanged straight away with no questions asked. But he had to prove himself, rightly so, and he did because of the history of the alcohol with his sister, and that was very convincing because knowing his sister was abused like that made him realize that why would he abuse another lady like that, whether she's alcohol or not. Or drunk or not.
Yeah, the difference here is, I might have a little bit of just a tiny incy-wincy bit of something now and again. Maybe once every couple of years or something. Just so I'm not rude to my best friends I grew up with, but hardly, just basically nothing there. But point is, my best friends who are drinkers on a weekly or maybe even nightly basis, they've never abused anyone, they've never attacked anyone, they've never grabbed a woman in the manner you say. So I think Mac,
it's not that definitely it affects certain people in that way. So this is why like Yusuf's sister was taken advantage. She obviously wasn't raped because she went in the right state of mind. She was going along with it. But when she woke up. Sorry, go on.
Mac, my point is that you're being unfair to the good human beings who are watching and who live in this country who drink on a regular basis. Majority of them won't do what you mentioned. And it's unfair for you to say, hey, true. Once someone drinks, this is what they'll do, because they don't.
I'm only mentioning where the history of alcohol come in.
He's not saying that. He's not saying that. What he's doing, he's giving the history of alcohol.
That's
what he's talking about.
I'm not accusing
not having a go at Triple T, thank you for mentioning that. Thank you for making that point clear. Because if you saw it like that, other people would have saw it like that. But I don't believe Mac can talk for himself, but I don't believe Mac is saying that. What Mac was saying is that he's basically semi-corrected me on my viewpoint with regards to why alcohol was basically forbidden and giving the history of that. Am I wrong?
Yeah. That's exactly what it was. I was trying to explain where the history and why and when it was forbidden from. Not that I'm saying that's my view on people who are drunk. No.
But it wasn't actually forbidden then, though, was it, Mac? It didn't.
Sorry?
It wasn't actually fully. It wasn't fully forbidden from that point, though, was it? It was forbidden after.
Well,
Yes.
Well, yeah. Even
yes, you're right.
You're right.
Because Andre, because you're absolutely right. Because people would get absolutely hammered. They were like, there's no such thing as, you know, like we have a binge drinking culture in this country.
Can I just add one more thing?
Sure.
You know, before anesthetics, they used to give people alcohol before they used to operate on them, like Avicenna, or should we say, you know, Avicenna from the Persian who did biology.
No,
basically,
I thought it was a place, Abyssinia.
No, Abu Sina. You know Abu Sina.
Yeah, they tried to westernize it. Avicenna. In the chat, Salim is saying, I may be wrong, but there are rumors Mac wants his own show, and Lessons for Life is only his stepping stone. Mac has outgrown L for L. There you go.
Wow.
Don't forget us when you make it. Piety Momentum, better to drink alcohol than go to US manufactured antidepressants. Yeah, people are hooked on and I think, pharmaceutical drugs.
Yeah, if I may, you know, the Muslims are anti-alcohol, but in the Quran it says that alcohol is bad for you, and I agree it is, but there is some good in it. So sometimes, you know, when you're feeling so unbearably depressed and you can't handle anything, maybe a tiny incy-wincy bit is not the worst thing on the planet Earth before you're about to do, you know, God knows what, corruption in the world. So maybe, as you mentioned, it's the pills. It's better than the pills. It's better than a lot of things.
Triple T.
Yes,
Triple
sir.
T.
Yes, sir.
You sound like the jump.
Right reaction is saying, damn, I need a drink just to get through this topic. Fighting Momentum. I've been drunk
I'm not
enough
advocating
times, and all I do is dance and embrace people with positivity. Alcohol doesn't drink me, I drink it. Ironically, the name alcohol comes from the Arabic al-kohol, meaning to eat, the consumption, yukul, the verb meaning to eat. So it consumes you, but Piety Momentum is saying he doesn't let that happen. He is controlling the alcohol. It's not controlling him.
Tolerance. He has a high tolerance.
And I'm not advocating alcohol, of course. I'm saying, you know, if you can stay away from it, but I'm saying it's better than heroin. It's better than the pills that they give us. It's better than so many things.
Well,
if you can keep it, if you can control it rather than it controls you.
You know, I'm not addicted to drinking brake fluid. I can stop anytime I want.
I'm not addicted to sniffing glue, and I can stop it anytime I want.
And fine to join in.
Does actually sniffing glue work? I don't understand.
Well, do you know what? I was in a lesson once, and I asked the learners to come up with some advice for people who are addicted to sniffing glue. And one lad said, my advice would be try to switch to solvent-free glue for a while, and after that, try and stop altogether. I like how he thought it through as kind of like a bridge. Sometimes we need some way to get us off our addictions, and we are addicted to discussing the esoteric tonight. I think we've drifted, but you know, that's the art of conversation, isn't it? To be fluid, whether it's gender fluid, religion fluid, or conversation fluid. I did release a video tonight about the first non-binary Muslim representative in Oklahoma. We might get reaction on that. Asmul Muzamil, regular contributor, is saying everything are considered as intoxications. Quran says to stay away from them so that we shall prosper. There you go. You heard it here first. But the wisdom was that these substances were outlawed gradually. And I've heard it said that if the Quran had outlawed alcohol straight away, the religion would have never spread, because the Arabian Peninsula were absolutely addicted to drinking alcohol.
Can I just say, my brother in Iran does drink. In Iran, some people do drink. But as Triple T says, there is a verse in the Quran where Allah does say alcohol has two negatives and one positive. It's up to you. It doesn't. But then there are other verses where it clearly outstates that you can't drink. But there is one verse that says if something has two positives or two negatives and one positive, it's for your logic to decide. Again, it leaves down to your logic or your nafs, or that's what it comes down to.
I'm drinking
juice,
by the way. This is juice.
Good man.
And I'm
drinking.
I'm on the herbal
I'm
tea
drinking
myself.
Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper.
Oh, you will get our first endorsement. Other fizzy, sugary drinks are available. Well, gentlemen, we've got as far as Mardi Gras in the good old book here. If you want to do a little bit on what does Mardi Gras mean to you? This is French, isn't it? Fat Tuesday.
Isn't it a party that have in America or something? The Mardi Gras.
It means chichi.
What does it mean?
Chichi.
Does it really? In patois?
Isn't it?
No, I'm joking.
It's a festival they have in America, isn't it? It's Spanish. Was a Spanish or Mexican festival or something?
Well, look at this. Sorcerers have disappeared forever. At least that is what we would like to think and hope. For the enlightened classes of society, this is no doubt true. Oh dear, X-rated. Sexual frustration, which is fertile ground for many points of view for occultism, is no longer worries people thanks to psychoanalysis. Magicians are now anachronisms who belong only to folklore and become carnival figures. Okay, so are magicians sort of seen as a joke, and we don't really believe in it anymore? I think that's what we do on this show.
Can I just say something we didn't say before? We didn't discuss about the magicians in Pharaoh's, or even Moses, when he had the staff, he turned it into a snake, and then
what happened with Moses and his staff?
So going back to the serpent and talking
at the staff party, is that?
Yeah. Well, when he first
in the staff room.
Yeah, the first time he went to visit Pharaoh with his brother, he had a staff with him, a stick.
Yeah.
And there were already magicians in. This is why probably snakes are very important. Because they could actually turn their staffs into snakes as well at the time of Pharaoh in Egypt. Whether you want to call it black magic or voodoo or whatever you want to call it. So Moses was able to do the same, and as they turned their staffs into snakes, Moses turned it into a bigger snake that ate all their other snakes up. All the other snakes up, exactly. So now
why is Moses a good guy carrying the snake, which is a symbol for evil in the Bible?
Well, the thing is, in Egypt they worshipped other gods, they worshipped other deities. And
Birdman, Thoth,
every plague that hit them attacked one of their deities. Do you understand? And Musa was the instrument, was supposed to be the instrument of God's supremacy, so to speak, on earth. Mac, please correct me if I'm wrong.
No, absolutely. Moses wanted to basically turn it down, and God says you have no choice. Like, you have to do what I said. And there was a few times Moses was, again, it got to the point where Moses was like, show yourself, I want to see you. And he was with 50 witnesses, and God brought down a particle, and they all obviously passed out and died.
God appeared in the form of fire?
Bush. Again, light, fire. Remember, we were talking about that before.
The burning bush.
We say burning bush, but they couldn't describe light as we can now. Do you understand? The knowledge that we have about light and photons and electromagnetic waves and all this information that we have now, they didn't have that at that time. So they couldn't describe.
No, but apparently the bush was on fire, though, Mac.
It could have been lit up. It could have been. But the only way they could describe, because there was no bulbs at its time. So
Julian.
To see something emit light like that, the only way they probably describe it is fire-like, because fire would emit light.
Julian,
I'm just saying.
I'm with you, Andre. Yeah,
that's very important what he's saying there. Because the fire is significant. Because is that not the substance of jinn?
That's
jinn
what they say.
Made of fire. There you go.
Fire. But again,
good point, Andre. Very good point.
to describe a form of light, they probably said fire. Yes. So, I mean, again, we can use the terminology light and get a bit more technical, shall I say? Whereas back in them days, they couldn't get as technical. For example, like there are certain things Rasulullah made haram. Now, he couldn't, at the time of prophets, they couldn't explain what a bacteria is. Even if they said there's little viruses, they wouldn't understand because they had no knowledge of this information. So even if the prophets had the information on the knowledge, explaining to them, it would be difficult and they wouldn't believe it. So the easier way to explain something is to say fire-like, maybe. You see what I mean? So the jinns are made, maybe, yeah, of fire, but light is also part of, I mean, light, it does the same thing. It gives you heat. If you're standing underneath a spotlight, you're still feeling hot and you're getting light. You understand what I mean?
Mac, I agree with you 70%, but 30% of me has got me looking a bit, you know, got me wary. And I'll tell you why. Because Sumerian text is very explicit in its explanation of things that we have only just found out now. So
true.
I think you're being too defensive for saying, oh, they wouldn't have understood. Do you understand? Right? Because in actual fact, Babylonian writings and Sumerian writings. Yeah.
And yeah, in Babylon, they found they could create small amounts of light. They actually had electricity. The Egyptians had electricity, but not like
I mean, they had like of it in more detail. That's the point I'm saying to you. Their explanation, they never had a problem explaining it in more detail. You understand? So right. I think what we're guilty of doing is looking back at ancient writings and saying, oh, well, they didn't understand. I think we're covering that too. We're giving too much leeway on that, if that makes sense.
You're right. Absolutely. Yeah, no, you're right.
A good point from Piety Momentum, jinns are made of smokeless fire. I've got the verse in front of me from Exodus 3.
Smokeless fire could be light.
4, verse 3, here we go. Moses saw, though the bush was on fire. So there the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire. So the angel of the Lord, is that God or is that the angel of God? We're not clear what we're talking about here. Moses saw, though the bush was on fire, it did not burn. That's smokeless. Is that a suggestion of smokeless fire? You're saying smokeless fire. This is a bush that's on fire, but the leaves are not burning. So Moses thought, I will go over and see this strange sight, why the bush does not burn up. When the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush, Moses, Moses, and said, here I am. So God calls to him from within the bush, but it was the angel of the Lord, and it's on fire but not burning. Do not come any closer, God said. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. And he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And this Moses, Moses hid his face because he was afraid to look at God.
What evidence have we got, Julian, to say that wasn't the deceiver talking to him, making him pretending that he was God?
Well, giving the 10 Commandments proves. I mean, even for example, Zoroastrianism gets ridiculed because they worship fire. But if you look at the motto of it, it's good thought, good speech, and good action. So if this is Zoroastrianism, now if you're looking at like the 10 Commandments that Moses is bringing, don't put partnership to God, love your neighbor. Do you see what I mean? When you look at the 10 Commandments, you see it's actually beneficial for humankind. So therefore, you can see.
I have to stop you there, Mike. The Romans came out with brilliant laws too, and they were atheists through and through.
They were polytheists, weren't they? Many gods, Roman gods, Jupiter, Saturn, all the planets. But they believed
they had Zeus. They had Zeus as well. They had all the.
Murder was punishable. Murder was punishable. Theft was punishable. They came out. They were considered civilized. Everyone else was considered barbarians. Even
our government is similar to theirs
themselves.
isn't our government similar to theirs anyway? Like the government, the way that it works, they used to have the same sort of senates, and they have the same sort of, they have the same
and it wasn't based
I
on
agree.
the Quran, and it wasn't based on the Injil or the Torah.
No.
Do you understand?
Of course.
And the same is said also for Sumerian ancient writings and Babylonian ancient writings, right? Yeah. The Bible is explicit when it says, but they were anti God. Do you understand? Right? Because they were they practiced shirk, right? But their civilization was advanced, right? And disciplined. And for that to happen, there had to be an order of commandment, a chain of commandment and respect within it for that to happen. Do you understand? The ancient Greeks is another one. I don't think that stands up in the sense of just because there's a few writings, just because there was a few scriptures in there, but a few commandments in there, but said, oh, but that sounded good for us today in 2020 to say that it wasn't from jinn. For me, I need more proof to say that it wasn't. And I'm not saying I don't believe that it was from God. I'm just saying this is the type of questions we need to be asking ourselves in 2020.
The thing is, Salman Rushdie was trying to say the Quran.
Especially when he produced, especially when he presented himself to Musa as fire. What more again? What more evidence do we need to say it was him?
I mean, you couldn't say sun because they would have attributed God to sun. So the only way they could describe a light emitting that because he's saying leaf that wasn't burning, the tree wasn't burning. So it was a source of light that was emitting that possibly looked like fire, but it wasn't fire. Obviously, and obviously God said, "Don't come close," meaning it's a light that he can't. So this is why our eyes are frequenced to see this world. And the spirit world, whatever light they're frequenced, is not. Our eyes isn't frequenced to see the afterlife, the other, or the veil, or this veil that we have between this reality and the next. So this is my opinion as well. So that's why I believe again.
So Mac, here's another point. Does it really matter whether it was a burning bush or not, as evidence to prove that it wasn't jinn talking to Musa? Because at the end of the day, does the good books not say that jinn could shapeshift and take on any form that they want? Therefore, they could have took on the serpent's form. It could have been a lizard and still been jinn.
You're right. No, you're right. The fallen angels. I mean, at the end of the day, you're right.
You see?
Here's a question from Salim. Serious question. Is it better for all governments and countries to adopt a secular state, a system that the Middle East is yet to open with? Well, Syria is a secular Arab republic, for example. Lebanon is a multi-confessional parliamentary system. So I think there is secular states in the Middle East. Not as many as there used to be. It has drifted towards the other end. Sorry, Andre, you were going to say as well. Yeah.
I have another question.
It's question time. We're opening it up for questions now. Question and answer session. And we've got one from Mac. Andre, Mac.
Why is the Middle East considered the central hub of the great books?
Because it's in the middle.
It's the cradle of civilization, apparently.
Why is it the cradle of civilization when modern man came from sub-Sahara?
He came out of Africa and into the Middle East. And some went back in and back out. I think maybe that's why.
So if God chose to put man, the original man from sub-Sahara, why did that not continue to be the central hub of the great books? Why is it the Middle East when the Middle East, right, was also the central hub of Satanism and shirk?
Is it because it is this transcontinental area that you have to go through, that you have to control if you want to control the world, historically and perhaps even currently? Bill Fence, good to see you here. The burning bush has something to it. It's used in Freemasonry, and the bush has something in it that can get you high. Fact. Cro-Magnon didn't. Now, Cro-Magnon man, we're going deep now. Cro-Magnon man didn't come from Africa. Maybe this is the out of Australia hypothesis. But we are all descended from an African woman, mitochondrial Eve, decades ago. As Mill is saying, because the prophets after Abraham were concentrated in the Middle East, were they? Possibly.
Can I weigh in here?
What's the name of the bush? Weigh in.
Why were they concentrated there?
Yeah, why? But why?
Yeah,
That's a good
sorry,
question.
Matt. Go on, mate.
All right, the Middle East, first of all, the Holy Land was, even as before Mecca being our Holy Land, the original Holy Land was the direction we used to pray, same as the other religions as well.
Jerusalem.
Jerusalem basically was our direction. Now, going back to Solomon's Temple, you know about Hiram Abiff, you know, the mason, the central, like the guy who was trying to get the secrets of building the Solomon Temple thing. You know about that? Hiram Abiff.
I've touched on it. I haven't gone into that.
So basically, I believe the Satan will want to reclaim Jerusalem as a seat, but it originally started, I believe. I mean, yeah, Satan does come into, for example, even the Vatican. If you look at the observatory they have, it's called Lucifer. I mean, why on earth would you call
light bearer?
An observatory?
Because it means light bearer, right? We mentioned this the other night.
Mac,
Lucifer
is that true?
Means.
Is that true?
Yeah, very true. You know what? I could swear on my life that it's true, 100%. Julian,
I never saw that.
When
I went to Rome to do my studies, I never saw that.
Bro,
they call it Lucifer.
Hey, listen to this.
A key point here is Lucifer is not a term from the Bible. Satan and devil and the equivalent, or Diablo, Iblis, these are mentioned, but not Lucifer. Lucifer was a word that came into the language later on. It means light bearer and was attributed to the devil. Latin. I believe it's Latin for light bearer. So you could sort of understand why, but it is a bit suspicious, I know.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not going to say that the devil isn't trying to obviously to come and change the religion. There are. I mean, even with the Solomon's Temple, he's called Hiram Abiff. This is where the whole Masonic rituals start.
Yes.
He wanted the secret, and then 3 of them jumped the guy Hiram Abiff, and I think was the one that killed him. So this is where you can see Satan's trying to get involved and get the knowledge or whatever. But again, this knowledge that they had, the Masonic knowledge, the circle, triangle, angles, all of these are the language of the angels,
which was passed on to them through the Kabbalah.
Right, exactly. Amjad or Kabbalah. Even goes back to Sumerian texts.
And the Kabbalah being the Holy Grail, what they were actually looking for. But again, I don't want to talk too much because I want to touch on that. You're deadly, Jules. You know I'm trying to hold on to
it's a teaser.
You keep badgering me to come out with it.
I mean, there it is. They're spelling it differently. That's obviously ancient Egypt and the Eye of Horus.
Eye of Horus, yeah.
And
Isis, Horus,
things going on there.
Birdman. You know what? You know the rapper Birdman. No one realizes he's trying to claim himself as an Egyptian god, Birdman, because there's a picture of a man with a bird 100%. Head. You've seen it. So 100%. Not many people realize that the rapper or the guy who's into the rap industry, who calls himself Birdman, he's trying to say he is the god. And then you got Kanye West bringing out Bible, calling Jesus Yeezus. Or he calls himself Jesus or whatever. So he changed all the words in the Bible from Jesus to Jesus. This is how he.
And he gave his wife a hologram of her dead father for her birthday.
Did he?
We're talking about Kanye
you're
West.
right. Yeah.
In the chat, Asma was saying,
look,
I believe Buddha also to be a prophet, but he was sent to northern India and Nepal, but God preserved the Abrahamic religions for a purpose which originated in the Middle East. Bill Fench studied in Rome. That's pretty cool. Nice one. And Salam is asking, what are the credentials of the three gentlemen on L for L tonight? Well, we all studied at the University of Life. Some of us are lecturing there. And we've also got between us, one of us is a world champion, and you can guess which one that is. People are asking what our credentials are, Andre.
Champions here.
Yeah, the champ is here. We had a question, what are the credentials of the three gentlemen? And I said one of us is a multi-time world champion.
Does it matter?
Does it matter? That's a good question. Does it matter? If you're speaking the truth.
Can I make a point? Can I make a point?
Does it really matter what our credentials are? Because at the end of the day, you know, since March 2020 until now, I've had to sit down and listen to being told what to do, this, to do that, only for the experts to come back to tell me they're wrong and they don't actually know what they're talking about.
That's all right, and we'll come back to that another night. But
Can I just say something? Can I quickly say something? You know what? I believe people who are studying whatever they're studying, once they get their dissertation or their project out 100%. The way, they never go back to it. But whereas 100%. People who study themselves, I call it autodidact, self-taught, autodidact. And being autodidact, you're going to learn a lot more. You go deeper than just getting the project out the way and done and never go back to it again. Whereas when we look into it, we try and we delve in.
Mac, they're following a protocol of study in order to get their degree, right? It's basically follow the yellow brick road in order to get your degree. You don't do that. What you're doing, you're attacking every single topic out there to feed your mind with knowledge, which is exactly what I'm doing, which is exactly what Jules doing. So when people turn around and say, "Oh, what's the?" I'm not saying the person saying it in a derogatory way. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying I've had people say. I'm saying I've had people say that to me before. Oh, well, how do you know? Well, I'm not being funny. From where I'm sitting, I know as much as anybody else. Do you know the rapper Akala was not a doctor, he's only just been awarded it. But why has he been awarded it? Because the Oxford University has realized his depth of knowledge within a specific subject. But he didn't study at the Oxford University, and his knowledge is to the point now, they're even looking for him to write works for them. So what does that say? Study, right? The books are out there is massive, and that's what makes you a thing. The other point I want to just say quickly before I shut up is the fact that there's a lot of people doing degrees on herbalism and all that now, but who taught them? Native people from other lands taught them what turmeric was, taught them what aloe vera is, taught them this, taught them we use it for this, we use it for that. They didn't even know about it until that. So
you know what? Even the three wise men.
Max just sipping a Dr. Pepper as we're talking about holistic health.
You know what? Three wise men bought frankincense, myrrh, and gold.
Frankenstein and myrrh,
You know what frankincense is, right? It's an amazing thing. It's very healthy for you. It basically it helps a lot of stuff. So herbs were obviously well known back in history, especially with the Magi's as well, the Persian Magi's. They knew about all these herbs. So
the knowledge was given to us from God. We are from the planet, so therefore, it says in Genesis, but I give you all the plants and the herbs of the planet for your benefit. So at the end of the day, the knowledge was instilled in man's brain, and it's passed from generation to generation. However, now in the 1900s onwards, you have to have a degree to say you know about this stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Actually, have you seen a film? It's called A Madman or Professor and a Madman with actually Sean Penn and Mel Gibson, and it's about the history of Oxford Dictionary, and it's amazing. There's a scene where they're like, because he compiles a lot of words and meanings, and he started the dictionary. Now, looking back at him, that's the attitude. He was old, he had no degree, but he was collecting this information and he put it together and he created the dictionary. And that already gave him. Now, when he went in to try and obviously get the position, they were like, what qualifications do you have? And then he just explained from Aristotle. He started going through the history, and they were stunned. They were like, we can't teach you anything. You already know it. Like, but this is what I'm saying. When someone decides to get into the root of knowledge, they're doing it, and they're going to go in, delve in deep. They're not just going to, because it's not just like a test or a dissertation and boom, it's out the way.
There is hands-on and there is academic. You know, I could argue that hands-on, right, over a period of time, or shall we say scholarships or apprenticeships, right, is just as good as academic, you know? Yeah. And a lot of people don't understand that. And hands-on in this situation between me and you is the ability to facilitate books and reading, right, where we are not restricted to a yellow brick road approach to studying.
Yes, absolutely.
Correct me if I'm wrong, please.
Yeah, no, you're right. And you know what? You're getting a lot of positive about the Akala. He's a very deep guy. Like, I watched a few of his lectures, talks, and
do you remember his sister, Miss Dynamite?
Oh yeah, is that his sister?
That's his sister. Little known family fact. Miss Dynamite, is Akala's sister. There you go.
I did not know that. Wow.
It's in the family. And
amazing.
We've got.
I can see the resemblance now you said it.
There you go. You can see it now. Now in 2020, the beauty of the internet is that we can all be autodidacts. We can to the point until it gets censored, until information gets censored away. Or
no, but you got to use your common sense. Again, for example, I was discussing 100%. To Julian how Trump has this ability to last minute to start a war and serve a second term. Now, all of these, I'm just saying, because he's so out of the box thinking type of guy, he doesn't move like a normal president would. I got a feeling he would take advantage of all the resources he has as well. So
we have to we have to mention this. Owen Keeling, Lucifer, son of the morning. We mentioned the morning star the other night, which I think is Venus. Represents the Sumerian god Enki, not Satan. Andre's going to beat me up in a minute because we're getting on to the points that he's been low-key mentioning to me. But Enki is a big word to watch out for. Not going to say any more than that. I wonder if it relates to the Ankh, the cross in Egypt, and the Anunnaki, maybe.
I'm not saying
Andre can't believe it. He can't believe it.
Say it. I want to learn. Andre, please teach me.
Yeah, but we're saving that.
What are you talking about?
When you go your own way,
you're addressing points and things that I can't. My brain is slipping on, and I'm hearing you mention. I'm thinking, yeah, that's exactly how I remember it. So it's not about me teach you. I think we're going to teach each other, bruv. Seriously, because I don't know what to say, because I don't want to say nothing, because Jules knows. Do you know what I mean? I'm just saving it.
You two have been superb on this show and other shows and on this channel in general. And if it can be a launching pad for both of you to do your own thing, I know Andre's got big things coming. Say no more. Mac may go back to YouTube if they'll have him back. Yeah. He slid down the snake, so to speak, having been up many
I want you as a guest ladders. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll keep it together and we'll grow this community. People like Owen and Bill who've been in the chat will come with you on your YouTube journey and wherever you're going to take it. If we end up on Parler or something where you can really speak your mind, apparently, so be it. Owen Keeling saying 3 wise men represent the 3 glands in the brain: pineal, pituitary, and hypothalamus. Wow, yes. We're going really deep.
I haven't heard that one. I really haven't heard that one.
The symbolism of the 3 wise men, and of course, it was 3
Let me
gifts.
tell you what he's just touched on.
Go on.
The pineal gland. I've seen the pineal gland,
but that what he's going on is one of the deepest dimensions of the Kabbalah. Right?
Okay.
It talks about the what's the word? The Sephirots, the 10 Sephirots.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I know you heard about that, Mac. You've heard about that.
Yeah. Sephiroth, yeah.
And that's what Bill Fence is talking about is actually part. No, not Bill Fence. The other guy was talking about is actually touching on the 10 Sephiroths, and I believe the 10 Sephiroths have something to do with yoga and the teachings of Hinduism and all of that. There seems to be a link there, which I'm now investigating. Shall I say? I'm not fully on it, but
I believe if you look. I think it goes back to the religion of. I think I've looked into from what I've looked into. They lead to Mithra, which was a Persian god, and then from that came you could say smaller, deviated religions after that, and that's where Hinduism. I believe
some went east, some went west.
Mac, you know what it is? What people seem to forget. We seem to remember. I mean, I talk to a lot. I'll give it strain a little bit, but I talk to a lot of Christians, and they turn around and say, "Oh, but the Nephilim died off in the flood." Right? Yeah. But what people seem to forget is it's a bit like rat poison. If you've got rats in your house, you put poison down, you will kill the rats in your house, and you'll probably kill the rats in the neighbor's house as well, yeah? But you haven't addressed the culprit of the infestation, e.g. the breach in your house and how they got in and the sewer system and all of that. So you're going to get it again and again and again. And what people are not understanding is we're talking about mankind's been on this planet for 150 million years. It's going back that far, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
If you're going back to Neanderthalic periods and stuff like this, they're talking about going back that far. So how many, just because the Quran, the Bible, etc. talks about one incident being dealt with, doesn't mean that it didn't come back again and again and again and again and again. And that there isn't infiltrations on every single platform over that period of time. It's a lot of years. Look what's happened in our lifetime, right? Yeah. And then times that by how many other times over this, it's crazy. We're talking millennium. It's madness, you know. So, you know,
we're getting really interactive now. Oh, it's not going to show up, is it? Hold on.
No, it looks
Can
white.
you see that? There you go.
Oh yeah, I see that now.
Yeah,
we just received that on the on Instagram. It's not going to show it. That's coming from Owen, and this is Masonic Gnosis. Man stands for Master, Able, Noble. God stands for Generator, Operator, Destroyer. You've got Tao on there. You've got Nature, Quran, Knowledge, Order, Rhythm, Astrology, Nature. These are all so hard. If you follow the Lessons for Life Instagram, I could probably share it out. We're getting all kinds of contributions. I appreciate that. Bill Fence is saying Dorothy, who walked the yellow brick road, originally had silver shoes. In the books, the films changed her shoes to ruby red, just like they changed Father Christmas to red.
That's a very
we've got
good
people
point.
wondering what happened to Triple T. He made a cameo. Hope it wasn't my comments that got rid of him. Oh, he'll be back. He's gone off to sulk because someone said they preferred Mac. Well done, gentlemen. Good listening. Appreciate that. Shukran. You are very welcome. Afwan khayi.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, Salam.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's been superb, gentlemen. I want to make this a regular slot the Wednesday night from 10 o'clock. I hope you'll join me as many times as you can. Look out for. Do you want to plug the channel, or we don't know the name yet, Andre? He keeps his cards so close to his chest, but big things to come, and also from Mac. It's been Lessons for Life, and we'll do it all again.
It's a work in progress, guys. It's a work in progress. Yeah. It's a work in progress.
It always should be.
You know, I said to Julian today. We were talking today, and I said to him, I had to headbutt the wall today, right? And the reason why I done it, you remember, Julian?
Yeah.
And the reason why I done it is because I just sat down I was reading scriptures, and I was seeing common sense things that are coming through, and I felt ashamed of myself. But it's took me to my age now to actually realize certain things. But what calmed me down is because I'm realizing that the rhetoric and the consensus of how the Bible is, in the interpretations of these books have been going since millennium. Do you understand? From for thousands of years. So I can be excused and forgiven for not seeing certain things, because obviously it wasn't taught to me in that way. But I still feel upset inside myself that I didn't put two and two together to see certain things before. But the channel, to me, I don't know. When we launch this channel, and you'll be part of it too, I hope, Mac. But when we launch this channel, my mind is like, wow. All the key, you know, a lot of things that people do, just closing, but a lot of people, you know, you'll talk to Muslims and they say, oh, I don't really follow what the Torah says. I only listen to what the Quran says. Or you'll talk to a Christian and they say, oh, yeah, no, but they do, you know, they do that. And a Christian would,
and the funny thing is, you're right. They don't even know about their own religion.
Right. And the Christian and Christians, if you say to Christians, oh, look, well, the Quran says this and all that, oh, we don't respect the Quran. You know what I mean? Or there's people out there will tell us, oh, I don't listen to the atheists will say, I don't listen to the Bible, or I don't listen to that. If it's not DNA, I don't listen to it. Well, in actual fact, and I said this earlier on the show, that the truth will always surface in the end. You know, it's like a court of law. It don't matter how much you badger or you push someone, the truth will come out. Do you understand, right? It's for you to be able to put your point across and say it with conviction, and it will stand. Do you understand? And to me, when I read, as a Muslim, when I read, I mean, I've just got the Lost Key, the Lesser Keys of Solomon, and a few other books that I need to read. I haven't read them yet, right? Yeah, I've got, and the book just arrived now, the Tibetan Book of the Dead.
Oh, you've got that?
I've got that.
By the way, can I just say, all of this, we haven't talked about purgatory. Do you know what purgatory is?
Yes. It's a level of hell.
No, it's basically before you were judged.
In between.
Before you're judged, they play back your life to you, and then obviously you review, and then they give you your. So that's what purgatory is. It's even in the Christian religion, and then you will get judged, and then So the Tibetan book,
bit like being on this show
of the purgatory, they're gonna obviously put like a heart on a scale with a leaf, and if your heart is really heavy or stone or dark, then it will weigh down. But if it's light, if you've been nice, that's the Tibetan, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. However, correct me if I'm wrong.
The books haven't come through. I haven't read them yet. They're here, but I haven't read them yet. But the point what I'm trying to say is, the books I have read, they all seem to interlink somehow. It's like they back up each other. If you look at them with an open mind, they seem to back up each other. Sumerian backs up the flood. The flood is backed up by science. Do you understand? DNA has backed up the Dead Sea incident. It all interlinked. So when you see all these people fighting against each other, all these academics fighting against each other, I just can't understand it, Mac, because they actually back up each other, but from a different narrative.
Do you know what? You're right, because there's Richard Dawkins, who's an atheist, and then there is someone like Sheldrick. By the way, you don't need, please check out the Skulls Experiment, on YouTube, on BBC documentary, where
Skulls.
SCOLES, Skulls. Skulls Experiment
Skulls,
in the UK. There's a place in the UK called Skulls, and they go underneath a basement and they perform some sort of they could do actual rituals. You'll see apparitions, you'll see like funny stuff that happens. And the reason why I'm convinced of this is because a doctor called Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, he went to this thing and he actually he was stunned. And from that day, he actually decided he changed. Now he got into morphic resonance, which is
Mac.
Sorry,
Bill Fence is asking, when are we doing part 3 of this subject?
Okay, so that's that time basically.
Next week, okay? Next week.
It's that time.
We'll do it Wednesday next week, 10 p.m. Be there. Tell a friend to tell a friend. This has been Lesson for Life, and we'll do it all again soon. We were
Sure.
here, and we're
Yeah.
gone.